Hello, and welcome to Embracing the Fight. I am Erica Lamar, your digital creator and host. And if you've been with me since January of 2023, you will know that Embracing the Fight is about normalizing the conversations surrounding physical and mental health issues and concerns. And why is that important? You can look around you right now in the world and see that because of these uncertain times, people are acting out of character. You're starting to see more robberies. You're starting to see more suicides, more children who are depressed that can't take, everyday things. And then there are these adults that are losing their jobs and their lives are changing and they don't have an outlet. They don't have anyone to relate to, anyone to talk to. But that's what embracing the fight is all about. I start the story off with my journey through thyroid cancer because I know there are people out there listening that are struggling with different diseases or disorders and they just don't know where to turn. So I'm giving a candid look into my life so you'll know that there is true light on the other side of the tunnel. Now, if you have time, I would like for you to click subscribe, click like, click share, comment on any podcast that you see on Embracing the Fight, any episode, because I believe there's something out there that it can touch everyone. And my goal is to reach at least one, because if I can affect at least one life, that life can affect another life, and so on until we have a community of people who want others to do better, who want others to be able to come to them to say, I have this issue, rather than them imploding or exploding on someone else. Now that I've gotten the business of everything out of the way, I would like to talk to you about episode 115. It's okay to be me. So I know you're probably wondering, what in the world are you talking about being, it's okay, to be me? Well, a lot of people that know me, they have never, truly seen me get angry. I'm always very calm, very even keel. I don't curse, I don't yell, I don't scream, I don't do any of that. But I do try to speak in a way that I get my point across. And I found that it drives a lot of people nuts when they're like jumping up and down, yelling and angry. And I come back with, a calm response that makes sense. A lot of people can't, deal with that. But on the flip side of it, people ask, how do you relieve stress then? Why don't you yell? Why don't you truly express yourself when things are bothering you? Well, honestly, I do. My expression is through my voice. So if I'm able to speak clearly on a subject that bothers me or have a conversation with someone who has caused some issue or something, in my life, or I feel like I have wronged someone in some way, I feel that when I speak on it, then, the stress kind of goes away. But everyone's not like me. Some people need to yell. Some people need to scream. Some need to break things. Like I saw the most disturbing thing on TikTok. There was a lady, I can't even remember her name, but she was dating this guy and she decided, to break up with him. Well, I don't know the whole story, but Buddy was on the other side of the door punching and kicking the door, and she was recording him and she was saying, oh, so, uh, I just want you to leave. And he basically was like, oh, so this is how you're going to do? This is what we're going to do. And then he started to almost sound like he was speaking in tongues. And that was, it was really odd because he started making this weird sound and he punched the door one more time and then he went, down the hallway. And the first thing I was thinking was, lady, why in the world are you recording this? Why are you not getting out of here or trying to get some help? Because this dude is actually crashing out. He is about to do something to you or to himself, and you find it, you know, like important to record. I get it. You want to record so you can show the police something, but what happens if, he kills you, then erases what you recorded? Then what? I mean, how does that help? I don't know. I don't know. I could be wrong. You could record it. Maybe he's a narcissist to a point where the recording is what set him off and he doesn't want anybody to see it. So he's not going to do anything to you, knowing that somebody will eventually see it. But now it's all over social media. But either way, let's look at this man's mental health. Was he being baited, by this woman to show this side that he doesn't necessarily show to other people? That's why I say it's okay to be you, because you could end up like him where I'm just assuming that whatever it is that he had going on with her has built over time and he never truly expressed how he felt. And he kept pressing it in, pressing it in, pressing it in until he finally exploded when she said she didn't want to be with him anymore. Or she wanted him to leave or she wanted him to get out. He just didn't know, how to handle that. So what I'm trying to convey is that when you have a problem or you have an issue, you have to be true to yourself. You have to be okay with being you in the moment. Like how I said, I don't like curse and yell or anything, but I have to speak to get the things out. And once I say it, I'm fine. Everybody's not like that. Some people like have to crash out like this guy did, but I wouldn't recommend it either because that could get you landed in jail. It could, if they do call the police, you could get killed, you could get shot, whatever. You could have a whole lot of other things that go on. But what I'm saying is it's okay to be you at the moment that someone says or does something to you that you don't like. Because I found that when someone says something to you that you don't like, if you don't speak on it right away, it becomes a part of your memory, a part of your thoughts, and it lives in your head rent free. And you always tie it and associate it to the person that said or did, whatever to you. I mean, there's people walking around that are holding grudges from elementary school, middle school, high school. And the people that they're holding a grudge against, they moved on with their lives. They have no idea that you feel the way that you feel because you never said anything. So it serves you well to be able to speak on the things that bother you. Now, I'm not saying, roll up on somebody and just give them a piece of your mind for something they did 20 years ago. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is it's okay to get you a journal now and specifically write out the things that are going on in your mind, in your heart, that's causing this mental blockage or this stress or this issue that you've carried with you for many, many years because you didn't give it a sound, you didn't give it a voice. So that's why I mean it's okay, to be you. So when you're writing in your journal, it's okay to write those feelings out, 100%. I'll give you an example. So I was writing in my journal and I was talking about some fears, that I have in life, just, getting older. And I think about, oh, I don't have kids. And what am I going to do when it comes time to have someone to be my power of attorney, to make sure that things are taken care of? Or do I just write advanced directives and, hope for the best, or am I going to have enough money, to put me in an assisted living facility where they don't beat the patients or where the patients aren't neglected in some way, shape, or form? Or will I be that type of person that's just looking out the window hoping that someone comes to visit me? I mean, those are the type things that I've been writing, in my journal lately, because those are things that I don't want to worry about. Those are things that I want, to leave my thoughts. Why? Because I found that those things affect me, in another way. Let me give you an example. So if I'm constantly thinking about, how much money, I'm making and what I'm doing with my investments and all these things, it's all tied to what's going to happen to me when I'm older or when I require, assistance. Now, I look at my parents. My parents have 3 kids, and all 3 of us will do everything that we can to make sure our parents are okay. I don't have that. I don't have any kids. And it's like a different, thought, a different feeling when you go through that. And I have a lot of friends that don't have children. And the majority of them have traveled and have done, all the things that they wanted to do. And they're not even worried about that sort of thing because they're like, hey, what if we don't even live past, 60? or whatever age. It's like, what if we've saved all this money? And what if we do, all these things and we don't need it? Then what happens to it? So their journal would sound quite different from mine because mine's like, hey, I'm living long, I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to do, all these things, in my old age. I'm going to see, all these things. I just won't have, any little kids, with me. Or should I say little kids? They won't be little kids then. So if I would have a child like this year or next year, when I get to be my parents' age, they would be in their 30s. So I guess that wouldn't be so bad. But could you imagine being almost 50 having a little baby? Ooh, I need somebody to put in a call for me for Janet Jackson because she did it. And she truly had control, right? Yeah, she did. But anyway, what I'm saying is before I started, rambling about my thoughts, what you need to do is get a journal and start to write these things down. Now, I'm not saying, um, write that you want to kill people and stuff like that, because that's always sticky, because if you want to wish harm on someone else and something actually happens to them and someone gets all this journal, then you become suspect. You don't want anything like that. What I'm saying is truly write what is in your heart, the things that truly concern you, because you'll notice that once you start to give those things like life, in a sense, as you're writing them down, and you can hear them coming from your head and they're being written on a paper, that's when the healing, can begin. And then you can continue to be you. So when I say that, some people, when you come up on them, they appear, to be angry all the time. And it's because they don't have an outlet for that anger, but they take it out on the people that like closest to them. And those people may not have ever done, anything to them to warrant this anger, but it's because they've carried it from somewhere else and then they had nowhere else to deposit it. Because say if it's your family member, they know that you're related by blood and you're not going anywhere, which is nuts, because it seems like to me those are the people you really want to be nice to, and those are the ones that you want to hold closest because they're not going anywhere. But I digress. So what I'm saying is, when things happen in the world, like when your kids go to school, you don't know, there could be somebody there being mean to them. It could be a teacher, it could be another student, it could be some random parent or something that's out there that just decided to pick on your child. But if your child never tells you, how do you know that they're going through it? So I'm saying, parents, encourage your children to write their feelings. And then I'm not saying, once they write their feelings, get their little journal, their little diary and read it. Talk to them. Ask them, hey, what did you write about in your journal today? Is there anything, that I can help you with? Are there any things that you're going through that you need guidance, you need wisdom, you need assistance? Don't just let them, fill up this journal and you look and they got a volume of things written down that bother them that never, got corrected. Because if you start seeing that, then it's time to get, a professional to come in, get you a mental health coach or counselor, and do some family sessions. Don't just necessarily have a child go by themselves, because it could be a family dynamic that's causing them to be the way that they are. And they're that way because they don't feel like they can be themselves. But in this episode, I'm telling you, it's okay to be you, because you are designed uniquely. You were fearfully and wonderfully made. There is something amazing about the purpose that lives on the inside of you. Outside of all the hurt that you may have experienced from family members, friends, people in your church, wherever you are, where you work, you're going to experience some type of hurt, some type of harm, but it's how you deal with it that shows who you truly are, what your character truly is. So I'm saying it's okay to be you, as long as it doesn't bring you harm, it doesn't bring someone else harm, or it causes some type of lasting harm to a large amount of people. I'll give you an example. Say you find out that, I don't know, You have a really good friend, and your good friend has been not necessarily truthful to all your other friends, but you know that that person is not being 100% truthful because if they told the truth, it would hurt the other people. Now, it's not up to you to go in there and tell them, well, this is how she really feels about y'all. And the only reason she doesn't tell you is because she doesn't have any other friends and she doesn't, know how to break it to y'all. Well, you've caused her to lose all her friends at that point because it wasn't your place to do that. If you really wanted to be a good friend, then what you would do is sit down and do what we call a lemon squeeze. And that's where you just open up about your feelings. And if you find that she doesn't feel comfortable speaking at that point too, then there's something else that's going on, and you shouldn't pry or push a person to do or say something that they're not comfortable doing because you jeopardize their feelings and your friendship. That is, if you really want to be friends with these people. But I don't know. I know I used to be, when I was younger, I was the one who would speak out and say, different things that other people wanted to say. But that's really not, who I was. I did it because I knew it would help other people. But at the same time, I was literally forcing myself to speak out to help other people. But that has become, like a extension of me because I hate to see people that are being treated unfairly or people that are being muted. I want everyone to have a voice. And if I have to be the mouthpiece, then I'm fine with that. And I think that was, really God's way of, using me as a child to speak out so that when I became an adult, I knew the proper way to do it without, causing a huge ruckus, without causing people wanting to kill me after I said the things that I had to say. And what's funny is I have a friend that I work with that used to tell me that when I explain things to people, he's like, they don't even realize that you just called them stupid. And I'm like, I didn't, that wasn't my intention. My intention was just to set the record straight. It wasn't to make them look one way or the other. I just want you all to know that this is what it is. This is the right thing to do. And that is okay. It's okay to be the person that sets the record straight. It's okay to speak intelligently in a group of people. It's okay to be the first one to the stage. It's okay to be the last one leaving the event. It's okay to be you. Now, if you don't know who you are, then the question is, who have you been? What have you been holding hostage inside of you to please other people? What have you been avoiding? What have you been doing? Think about it. You can't be the best version of yourself by always taking everyone else's feelings and thoughts into consideration when you don't take your own feelings and thoughts into consideration. That means you are a people pleaser. And if you're a people pleaser, then how can you ever be true to you? A lot of people don't realize that the more you do to try to please people, that you lose your identity. You lose yourself in that. So much so that you don't sometimes know what you want to do or what you want to be in life. You're the one who's always checking all the boxes. You're the one who always tries to keep the peace. But then when you get by yourself, you're wondering, what is it I should be doing? And who am I? Ask me how I know. It's because that was me. I was the one who was always trying to do what was right. I was always the one trying to make sure all the boxes were checked. All of the rules are written, that the governance was taken care of, that everyone knew that this is the time that we start and this is the time that we end, that we had to be at this place in this location and that if we aren't there, then we're not in the right place and we won't get in. I was like the timekeeper, the peacekeeper, the one who made sure that things happen. But what happened when all of those things that were needed were no longer needed? Then I got into a quiet space and I wondered, you know, what am I supposed to be doing? And is it okay to truly be me? And the answer is absolutely yes. It's okay to be me. So that's why lately I have been writing a lot, a whole lot. I'm working on several books. I journal. I get up each morning and I pray. And after I pray, I go and I spend 50 minutes in the sunshine, basking in the goodness of God. I find myself walking. I find myself thinking about all the things that God has been trying to tell me the whole time that I've been trying to please the world. And finally, I've heard him say, it's okay to be me. I hope that you're able to find in this episode that it's okay to be you as well. And if you aren't sure where to start with prayer. Pray and ask God, what is the purpose that you have for my life? And then once you ask that question, spend time with him. It's not going to be, well, I can say it wasn't for me. It wasn't instant. Like I asked and it was like, bam, you got to answer. No, it wasn't like that. It was more like, okay, you want to know your purpose? What are you going to do to spend time with me to get closer to it? And these walks and the prayer, when I say it has been like life changing for me. And I expect that if you were to do something similar or ask him what it is that he wants you to do, that you'll see too that it's okay to be you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to watch this episode 115. It's okay to be me, or it's okay to be you. And as always, I want you to have an absolutely, absolutely amazing day.